Just pretend you're with the media. Nobody can pretend that. Absolutely. I love it. It's just like in school.
No one showed up last time.
We have some more seats here. There's about 7 or 8. Let's fill them up. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Clifford Kennedy, and I'll be the moderator this morning. Je suis un ancien fonctionnaire à la retraite depuis 2004. J'ai eu une carrière de 26 ans avec la province du Nouveau-Brunswick en développement économique. I'm sorry we have to be here. Unfortunately, we have no choice. The government has rejected our pleas to stop its misguided pension reform and start a new inclusive and transparent process. Despite the finance minister's admission that the government has done a poor job of handling pension change, he has introduced legislation that breaks our contract and betrays us and destroys our trust in government. The government may not wish to engage with its citizens, but the Pension Coalition New Brunswick welcomes open dialogue and partnerships, and so we are pleased to be here with representatives of Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada, Canadian Union of Public Employees. Nos orateurs ce matin sont les personnes suivantes. Madame Bonnie Hoyt-Hallett, présidente de Pension Coalition Nouveau-Brunswick. Monsieur Gary Corbett, président et chef de la direction de l'Institut professionnel de la fonction publique du Canada. Danny Legier, avec le syndicat canadien de la fonction publique, division du Nouveau-Brunswick, il est le président. Et monsieur Bernard Dussault, ancien actuaire en chef pour le régime de pension du Canada, et présentement travaille avec l'Institut professionnel de la fonction publique du Canada. We still hope that the government will restart this process and involve everyone in the process. It is never too late to do the right thing. So right now, I'll turn the podium over to Bonnie, but before I do, at the end of the 4 speakers, there will be a question and answer period, and I will moderate that session. And in introducing our speakers, I'll give you just a little bit of background on each of them. The media do have it in their kits. And the fake media right here, the people are using the kits. Mrs. Bonnie Hoyt-Hallett, chairperson of Pension Coalition New Brunswick, retired with over 25 years of experience with the province of New Brunswick, having worked in Department of Health and Community Services, moving to the Department of Municipalities, Culture and Housing, and finishing her career as Deputy Minister in Local Government and Environment. Bonnie?
We were going to sit to say our comments, but so everybody can see, I guess I decided I better stand here. First, I want to start by thanking Gary Corbett, Danny Legier, and Bernard Dussault for joining us here today. We're united in our cause, and we want to show that by us being together on this podium. Together, we had hoped to convince the government that Allward was right when he said, we understand that each pension plan must be carefully examined and evaluated on its own terms, and this new model is not a one-size-fits-all. However, after a year of review, assessment by an actuary, and fruitless meetings with government, he does believe that the shared risk plan is a one-size-fits-all. But we know that it does not fit the Public Superannuation Act pension plan. This pension coalition is not and has never been against pension changes. We've said that from the beginning. We even recognize that shared risk may be an option for some plans. We believe, however, that any changes to our pension plan must be made on a go-forward basis within the existing legislative framework in a fair, open, and consultative manner. As former public servants, coalition members, we've contributed to public policy development over our careers. Therefore, it should not be a surprise that we wanted to understand the government's plan for our pensions and its full implications. We asked to see the plan. As media, you should ask to see the plan. If I have an insurance plan, I can show you. Ask to see the plan. Our approach to this issue is the same as it was during our careers. We identified issues, we raised questions, and we looked for clarifications. Unfortunately, we received virtually no answers from government. First, government said pension reforms would not affect pensioners. Then we found out the government intended to break our contract and include us in the shared risk plan. We want pension changes that allow government to maintain its existing obligations to pensioners, are fair to active employees, and are sustainable over time. There's absolutely no reason why government cannot achieve this under the current pension program. Robert Blay, the actuary we consulted this summer, made it clear that government could have implemented changes over the long term without affecting pensioners. This is the approach that has been done in other provinces. Alberta, Newfoundland, PEI, and Ontario. Only New Brunswick made the draconian political decision to solve its financial challenges on the backs of pensioners. It had options, but chose the one that most benefited its political agenda. Pensions are an important part of our economy. Defined benefit pensioners pay $14 to $16 billion in taxes each year. And when I became 65, I did not stop paying taxes, and I dislike being pitted against the taxpayer. I am one of them. We also spend about $63 billion on goods and services. Government must understand and take into account the impact any decrease in pensions will have on the economy of this province, a province we're proud of and a province we want to support, and when we know this will be a draconian effect on the province. Pensions are the livelihoods for retired public servants. I cannot tell you what the last year has been, one of great stress for pensioners. Saying to someone as I came in, the stomach knots and things were things I got rid of, I thought, when I stopped writing exams and when I stopped going to public accounts. I didn't expect to get them today. I am sure that the pensioners would tell you how they feel and what this change in their pensions will mean for them. They plan their futures based on the pension they saved forth or their contributions to the pension fund, not that they had any choice. These pensions are not a gift. They were money we entrusted to government to use and invest so that we would have a pension with a COLA when we retired. They are our hard-earned life savings. They were part of what we got when we went to work for the provincial government. By including pensioners in the shared risk model, government is taking away our economic security and leaving us to face unpredictable incomes in our most vulnerable years. From all that we have been able to discover, we will not know what will be in our bank accounts from one year to the next. Could there be any greater betrayal? Government has decided to fix its fiscal problems on the backs of pensioners and active employees. While the shared risk solution may be a quick fix for the government, it is not the best fit for the PSA pensioners and employees, taxpayers, or the public service, nor is it the best thing for our economy. When asked about the PSSA pension plan in the legislature, Minister Higgs says, "This is not easy stuff. I do not understand it, but I get help when I need it. Sometimes it is important to recognize when you need help and get it, not just expect that you know everything. We agree. We have offered to help." Unfortunately, the minister has refused our help, and for many of us who would contribute to an open discussion on creating sustainable pensions for the future. It makes us wonder if that is truly the minister's objective. It seems clear the government is more concerned about fixing its books prior to the next election. I say to the Minister today, if you're willing to stop the present process and give pensioners a voice, we will work with you to find the best fit for the PSSA pension plan, and we will help ensure a truly sustainable pension reform. It would seem government is developing pension policy on the fly. He has been using the media to befuddle pensioners and active employees. This is unacceptable, and it certainly supports our call and request to restart the process for the PSSA and all future pension reforms. The people at this table and the people in this room are the people who developed many public policies and made New Brunswick a leader in so many areas in Canada. They are willing to apply their expertise and experience to designing sustainable public and private sector pensions in New Brunswick. However, we cannot do that if the government is unwilling to accept the Premier's statement that each pension plan must be carefully examined and evaluated on its own terms, and this model is not a one-size-fits-all. It is not too late for government to stop its present process and seize the opportunity to do it right. Thank you.
Le prochain orateur est M. Gary Corbett, qui est président et chef de la direction de l'Institut professionnel de la fonction publique du Canada. Gary Corbett is President and Chief Executive Officer of the Professional Institute of Public Service of Canada since June 2009. Prior to this position, he worked as a scientist conducting operational research in the coal mining industry in Cape Breton for Natural Resources Canada. Relocating to Ottawa following the close of the coal industry in 1998, he focused his attention on policy development as it pertains to the role of public science and evidence-based decision-making. A member of the Ethics Practitioners Association of Canada, Mr. Corbett actively promotes an ethical culture within the Institute and throughout Canada's public service. Mr. Gary Corbett.
Thank you. Good morning, bonjour. Really appreciate the fact that so many people came out today. My comments will be brief. As he mentioned, my name is Gary Corbett, President of the Professional Institute, and we represent some 55,000, 60,000 members who work in the federal public service across the country, including some members in provincial jurisdictions in New Brunswick and in Manitoba. We represent engineers, some scientists here, veterinarians, and Crown Justice lawyers. Now, we've been involved with this question on the PSSA for some time now. We were involved from the get-go, I guess, in terms of discussions about the repeal of the PSSA. And our position has been simple. We understand that the PSSA's current debt of about $1 billion is a major issue for New Brunswick government, as well as for all New Brunswickers. It deserves to be addressed diligently and appropriately. However, the provincial government's proposed plan to adopt the shared risk pension plan to replace the New Brunswick PSSA is not the solution. The SRPP is unfair. It shifts most of the burden of the amortizing the current deficit onto the shoulders of current and future active PSSA members, as well as the retirees. It's overly complex, even to pension experts. Minister Higgs himself admitted this on November 13 in the Legislative Assembly. It's expensive. Its implementation, management, and day-to-day administration will be unnecessarily expensive. I met with Finance Minister Higgs on October 31st to let him know that PIPS would be very pleased to work with him on developing a fair and simple alternative to the SRP. We also offer the advice and input of our now employee and former Chief Actuary of the Government of Canada, Bernard Dussault, who's with me today. Unfortunately, the Minister was not interested and said that train has already left the station. But we believe it's never too late to stop the train and put it on the right track. Our offer is still on the table, and whether it's the former Chief Actuary for Canada or another independent actuary, an independent assessment of the not yet disclosed actuarial projection on the current proposal for the SRP is required. We believe that the government of New Brunswick and representatives of all PSSA members should be able to consider other options. That is why we would be very pleased to submit our own alternative proposal for the NB PSSA for evaluation by an independent actuary. Yesterday, I wrote to Mr. Donald Arsenault, the MLA for Dalhousie-Ristigouche East, in response to a question he proposed in the Legislative Assembly on November 13th. Mr. Arsenault received a clear, open invitation from Minister Higgs, and I quote, "If you have an actuary who wants to look at that information," of course, everything an actuary needs to look at, "then you can get one, too." Of course, he went on to say, "But we will not pay for yours." In the interest of making some progress on this important issue, I extend the offer of Mr. Dessault's service to Mr. Arsenault. Hopefully, Mr. Higgs will keep his commitment to the people of New Brunswick and will finally have access to an independent review of the data that has until now been kept from them. Finally, I want to bring your attention to a letter addressed to Premier Allward from the Canadian Association of Crown Councils, reacting to the impact on their New Brunswick members, who are also our members, and reflecting their general concern for the rule of law. The association expressed great concern that major ill-conceived changes to public sector pension rights were being proposed in New Brunswick. Thankfully, it's not too late. We hope it's not too late. There is still some time for a solution that is fair to all New Brunswickers and the respect for the rule of law. Thank you.
Le prochain orateur est M. Danny Legier, président du syndicat canadien de la fonction publique, division du Nouveau-Brunswick. Monsieur Legier, s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour. I want to thank everybody for being here today. CUPE New Brunswick accepted the invitation we received from the Pension Coalition and the Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada to be present at this press conference.